got a few more folks signed in, a few more trickling in. I think we're probably at that point where we can get started. So welcome to the Office of Research, Partnerships and Innovations webinar introducing patent support and the ElevateIP program. My name is Andrew Doan and I'm the Commercialization Officer here at the UofR. In the next hour, you will hear from the Office of Research, Partnerships and Innovations Director, Gregory Mack, who will briefly outline our office's role, team, and services. Next, we'll meet the UofR's new IP lawyer, Corey Furman, who will introduce himself, his firm, and services provided to you UofR researchers. After Corey, Atif Mumtaz, Program Manager at North Forge, will discuss the ins and outs of the new Federal IP Assist program, ElevateIP. Note that you can ask questions during the presentations in the chat box, and we will have a designated time set aside at the end for questions and answers. Also, this webinar is being recorded, so let us know if you'd like a recording. With this, let's get started. First up from our office is Greg Mack.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm just going to do a quick overview of the Office of Research, Partnerships and Innovations and how it interfaces with the ElevateIP program. Okay, can everyone see the correct screen? Yep, okay. So I'm just going to take you through the role of ORPI, or the Office of Research, Partnerships and Innovation, which is new at the university. Let you know who our team is and give you an overview of the main roles that we fulfill and tie that into intellectual property and the ElevateIP program particularly. So in general, there's a few roles that we support. First being the development and administration of contract research and grant agreements. That could be tri-agency grants or contract research, where the back-end support for that. We also play a front-end role, assisting with finding partners and funding to commercialize early-stage discoveries and move those into market-ready technologies and products. So tech transfers is performed from lab to market, and we support the development of IP-based companies and negotiate license agreements. I'm the director of ORPI, and I'm joined by Fatima, who handles my tax business development, Surab, who handles research partnerships and contracts for engineering and science, Celine, who handles research contracts for my tax, data sharing, and material transfer, Vic, who handles research contracts for health and social science, and Andrew, who is emceeing, who handles commercialization or tech transfer, and Michelle handles administration. So just to position our work in terms of the technology readiness level scale, which is a rubric developed by NASA, very common point of reference for engineers, investors, and grant agencies. We inhabit the collaboration space, bridging academia and industry in the middle of the spectrum. Although we do reach back to support basic research and ideation as well. So as I mentioned, we provide back-end agreement support, partnerships for research and innovation grants, as well as contract research with industry partners and supports for research commercialization. So to provide a prototypical example, that middle ground that ORPI inhabits is often represented as the valley of death, which requires funding and mentorship for enterprises or ventures, as well as access to university, facility, and tech transfer services in order to cross through. So the example that I've shown here is of
Allow me to turn it off. Yeah.
I think that someone may need to press mute there. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so on your left is Dr. Terry Winograd, who advised Google founders Larry Page and Sergey Brin as their PhD students in Stanford. He got them access to infrastructure and funding support through grants at Stanford and helped them to develop their PageRank algorithm. It was patented through the Tech Transfer Office at Stanford. And Google was given an exclusive right to to its use in return for 10% ownership. And on your right is Dr. David Cheriton, Canadian, also professor of computer science. He helped out with private funding and commercialization support through mentorship, and became a large shareholder in Google as a result. So in terms of research partnerships, we can facilitate that through, oops, I think we. So in terms of partnerships, we assist in finding partners to and funding to commercialize early stage discoveries into market-ready technologies and products. So we lever university networks and relationships with other researchers, grantors, businesses, universities, and government offices. In terms of back-end support related to grants and contract research agreements, we take care of contract drafting, negotiation, and execution, and our turnaround is on average 1 to 3 weeks for those. We also provide business development for contract research, actively promoting opportunities such as in clean tech and municipal services for applied research and technology to, as well as pilot testing too. The university has an MOU with the city, and we hope that will open up more opportunities for contract research along a broad range of different types. So in terms of innovation, we do provide tech transfer from lab to market. So we support the development of IP-based companies, negotiate license agreements, and help companies spin out of the university through connecting them and helping them to navigate different ecosystem supports. So this is what our tech transfer process looks like mapped out. The path towards the commercialization of innovation in the marketplace involves multiple steps, and ORPI engages with researchers throughout the entire process, starting as early as ideation. Today, we're talking about supports for intellectual property protection. So on that note, I'm going to hand the floor back to my colleague Andrew, and he can talk a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Greg. Just go to yeah, there we are. So there's some outlines here of the different types of intellectual property IP protection. There's different forms of protection beyond these, but these are definitely the most commonly used forms of IP protection. Touch on patents first. It's probably the most ubiquitous form that you hear about the most. So through a patent, the government gives you, the inventor, the right to stop others from making, using, or selling your invention from the day the patent is granted to up to maximum 20 years after the day of which you filed your application. Often a patent is used for some more deep technology, something that would need intensive reverse engineering, but something that is unique and has commercial value. A copyright is an original work that is automatically protected the moment you create it. So you write a report that is your own thoughts. You give a presentation like this, and it's your own thoughts. that's automatically copywritten. Trademarks, this is something you see a lot. You see a lot of TMs behind logos and slogans. A trademark is a combination of letters, words, sounds, or designs that distinguishes one company's goods or services from the other in the marketplace. These you see all over the place. Some golden arches. Everyone thinks about hamburgers. You can't make that logo yours. Also slogans, Nike, just do it, things like that. So that helps build brand awareness. Last, we also have trade secrets. Trade secrets is a promise to keep information confidential and not to disclose it to anyone else. Often this is enforced through a non-disclosure agreement. It's something we can provide support with here in our office. An example here would be if an inventor or a new spin-out company is got a piece of technology that isn't quite ready to have a patent, but they're looking for industry partnership, and to develop that partnership, the company that they're potentially working with would need to actually understand the new technology. However, because it's on patent, it needs to be protected. So an NDA would be signed, and that the trade secrets of that invention would be kept in between the two parties involved, and the potential partnership party would guarantee that they would not divulge that information to anyone else or take that information. All right, so I also want to mention that a little bit about our IP policy here at the U of R. We have we're actually updating our IP policy at the university, but it's currently as it stands, and this won't change. It is the U of R IP. All IP developed at the U of R is creator owned. It's a pretty friendly policy towards inventors, which is great, as we don't want to stifle any creativity and development. There is a slight caveat for inventions created with U of R with special equipment, meaning that if you use special equipment owned by the university, that invention isn't automatically owned by the inventor. However, our office is keen to make partnerships work for everyone involved, and in those cases, we're confident that everyone will come to agreements everyone's happy with. If you'd like to talk more about the IP policy or anything that's covered here today, please reach out to me. I also want to make a quick note on invention disclosures. An invention disclosure is a record of invention. It's a document written by the inventor or inventors that detail what was invented. And when something is invented here at the university, that's a big first step, is to disclose that to our office. So those also come to myself and Greg, and from there, we will look at these next steps of innovation. Okay, so next up, I think we're ready to move on to Corey Furman. Corey, along with McKercher LLP, is U of R's new law firm and U of R's preferred IP lawyers. Corey has 27 years experience as an intellectual property counselor in contentious and non-contentious IP matters. His professional background includes many years of experience in issues management and de-risking of IP-centric businesses. His professional background includes many years of experience in management and de-risk of IP-centric business projects. The varied demographic of his clients, from individual inventors and startups to universities and multinational corporations doing business inside and outside of Canada, has provided him with the cultural and emotional intelligence to appreciate and navigate discussions on different levels and makes him a diligent and empathetic professional advisor. He has significant corporate governance experience in addition to a chartered director certification, which has further enhanced his experience in technology-oriented environments like here at the university. The client base at Furman IP includes a broad demographic from individuals and startup companies through some of the largest companies in the province, as well as clients from elsewhere in Canada and around the world. Furman IP practices exclusively in the area of IP property law, from clearance of new trademarks and inventions for clients through to prosecution of various intellectual property applications in Canada and abroad, as well as licensing, exploitation, and enforcement of intellectual property rights, including acting in litigation and other contentious matters, both on behalf of plaintiffs and defendants. Over the course of the past 25 years, Corey has handled or coordinated the filing of thousands of trademarks and patent applications in Canada and abroad for clients in various industries, and briefed or argued almost every type of trademark registrability or patent prosecution issue which could arise in the course of handling these matters in the Canadian IP Property Office. Under Corey's oversight, Furman IP's paralegal works to administer the handling of deadlines on thousands of patents and trademark applications and registrations in various patent and trademark offices around the world, in conjunction with a trusted network of foreign law firms. Furman IP provides trademark and other IP services across the entire spectrum of potential industries. So we'll hand it over to Corey, and he's going to introduce himself and chat a little bit more about this and how he'll provide support to folks here at the UofR.
Thanks, Andrew. Good morning, everybody. I see some names on the screen here that I recognize and some that I don't yet know, but I look forward to meeting you all over time and getting a chance to work with you and learn about your projects and what you're working on. Subject to somebody having some specific questions, I can just talk for a few minutes about sort of the role for my firm, and so basically Furman IP in conjunction with the McKercher firm in Saskatchewan were recently chosen to provide, and are pleased to have been chosen to provide IP services for folks at the university here. I'm just at the other end of the block from you, down at the Rotunda building. So if you're ever in the neighborhood, feel free to look me up and we can have a coffee and chat. My background, as Andrew mentioned, I've been doing nothing but IP work for about 25, 30 years. I feel very old when I say that, actually, but I will be happy to assist you when probably end up being myself and my firm and the lead from McKercher's on things, depending on sort of what we need to bring in terms of sort of a mixed up team. Would be Joe Gill, who's works out of the office of McKercher's in Saskatoon. He's from Regina, has more of a tech transfer and sort of soft IP software background. So certainly to the extent that what we envision being able to do is to support you and to support the office at the university with whatever kind of assistance you need. You've got a strong team there already of folks who have experience with negotiating contracts and agreements, stuff like that. We're happy to help where we can, but you've got lots of resources there, people that you already know who I think can probably also help there. Probably the primary place where we might cross paths from time to time, whether you are folks working in the team with Andrew and Greg or out in the university, would be if you end up having invention disclosures that you want to do some patentability searching, kind of understand patentability and or work in the direction of filing a patent application. I know that we have Atif on the call here to talk more specifically about the types of sort of strategy and execution steps that their program could support. But certainly in your environment, probably the primary work that we would assist with would be sort of clearance and drafting and filing of patent applications. Certainly I do a ton of trademark work, but trademarks is probably not sort of quite as prominent for what you would need on a tech clearance and on a major KPI basis, but that's certainly something we can give a hand with. And then also Andrew had mentioned, and depending on either the sort of the level of maturity and the timing of your project, or even depending on what your sort of what the ultimate sort of, whether it's a company or what the ultimate product, et cetera, might look like. We can support you also in making decisions around whether, for example, whether a patent is the right thing to do, or whether it's something you would more likely want to think about sort of trade secret protection and those types of things, and developing a trade secrecy program in the project. Structurally, if you are establishing, for example, and I've only met Andrew and Greg a few months ago, so we're finding our footing in terms of how we can sort of best and most efficiently support you guys all with your work. But if you are, for example, even in the process of, you're going to spin out a company to hold some particular piece of IP. Joe and his team at McKerchers would be happy to help you you can get a company set up, get whatever necessary arrangements in place with that you'd have sort of the team there helping you put together with the university, et cetera. So my subject matter background is primarily, I have done lots of sort of all kinds of general sort of consumer type product work, oil and gas, both sort of software, methodology and tools, those types of things. And I do a ton of software work. I don't myself, I'm not a chemist. I don't pretend to be a chemist, but I have resources at my available to me to help you with chemistry also. So subject matter wise, that's kind of where I sit. Andrew, I'm happy to answer any other questions. I think you're probably better served by using more of everybody else's time than mine, but I, as you guys can tell, even with saying, Corey, introduce yourself and quickly tell us what you do. I have a gift of the gab. I can talk a lot. So anybody's welcome to give me a call or shoot me an email anytime. The office knows how to get a hold of me. And like I said, I'm just down the street. I'll happily, I love making house calls. I'd love to come and see your lab and learn what you're doing. So I'm going to leave it there and go from there. I'll answer any questions, and otherwise just let you carry on, Andrew.
Awesome. Thanks, Corey. As you can tell, Corey's really intertwined, as well as the folks at McKercher, in the Saskatchewan tech and innovation ecosystem, and they're really into it and keen to support it. So definitely take Corey for his word and reach out, and he's around and happy to chat further and see what we can do and build. And if you actually are looking at a disclosure, just a reminder, send it to us first at the ORPI office, and then we'll connect you with Corey or whatever the right next move is, and we'll support you in the needed manner at that time as well. So another quick reminder, we do have the chat box. So if anyone has any questions throughout, please feel free to throw them in there. And we do have a little bit of time at the end for any questions as well that anyone might have. Yeah, so with that, we've got our big presenter here, Atif Mumtaz, to discuss ElevateIP. We're really excited to have Atif here. He is from North Forge in Winnipeg. He's a program manager there. North Forge is I think he'll give you a little overview of what they do, but they are the distributors and the gatekeepers for the ElevateIP program funds for the prairies. So he'll discuss the ins and outs of this new federal assist program, ElevateIP, and it's a really good opportunity for getting IP support financially currently throughout the country. So I'll let Atif take it from here.
Thank you, Andrew. As Andrew mentioned, that I am with Northforge. I had promised Andrew to send my bio in advance, but apologies, I forgot to email it this morning. Northforge is one of the leading incubators in Manitoba, and we are graduating about 50 startups a year through various programs. And it's an amazing incubator because we take startups from idea stage all the way to raising $1 million and beyond. And some of our startups have really taken off. For example, QDoc is one of them. If anybody wants a virtual doctor, you can just use the QDoc app and get a doctor going. They have about, I think, Manitoba, in Canada, they have 5,000 doctors already. Okay, so can you take me to the next slide, please?
Is everybody seeing the screen yet or no?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Next, hang on 1 second.
Could you put it on slideshow mode, please, Stacy? Just click on from beginning. Up there.
So, okay. So one of the unique things about Northforge is that we are not just an incubator, but we also run a fabrication lab. And we have about 20,000 square feet of, of, of maker space where founders, especially those building a hardware product, it could be an IoT, it could be anything, can come in and practice and build their prototypes. So a lot of hardware founders love us because here they can experiment without needing to go outside the city or spend lots of money buying a lot of equipment. I use it all the time too for just fun projects, but it's an amazing place. If you're in Winnipeg, let us know. We can give you a free tour. Okay, next slide, please. We are running many programs at Northforge. One of them is called Founders Program. Founders Program, as I mentioned, is for startups, founders who want to go from an idea, and how do you take an idea and turn it into a successful company. We've got another one, Women in Innovation Lab, was launched exactly a year ago, last March. This program is designed for women entrepreneurs to give them extra tools to be more successful. There are not enough tech startups led by women in Canada, and this program is supposed to help change that in a positive way. Then we've got Startup Visa program. We are one of the designated incubators by the federal government, where we can bring in startups from any part of the world as long as they qualify into Canada. So whether you're in Germany, Timbuktu, um, um, Karachi or Cairo, we can bring you here if you have the right idea that is best for Canada. Okay, AmLab is Advanced Manufacturing Lab. It's important to understand this is part of fabrication. So if you're doing any hardware product development, this is where you want to be. So next slide, please. Now we've launched another program working with federal government, and it's called ElevateIP. And the purpose of this program is very simple, is to enable Canadian entrepreneurs and startups to be competitive globally. Next slide. This program is being executed all across Canada, not by the government themselves, but by incubators like Northforge all across Canada. And this program will run for 2 years, so it will be available till March 2026. Now, 2 years looks like a long time, but if you're filing a patent, Corey can tell you 2 years can go pretty fast. Next slide, please. Northforge has been given Saskatchewan and Manitoba provinces to execute this program by federal government. They've designated different organizations for different provinces. For example, Communitech is doing it in Ontario. Maine is doing it in Quebec, Springboard in Atlantic provinces, New Ventures in BC, and a consortium of University of Calgary, Innovate Calgary are doing it in Alberta. So if you're in Saskatchewan, which you are, Northforge is your designated partner to execute all ElevateIP projects. Continue, please. Now, when we talk about IP, we are not necessarily just talking about patents. It covers everything, as one of our colleagues earlier mentioned, copyrights, industrial design, trade secrets, even your contracts, your terms of service on your website or your app, your privacy policies, your contracts with your employees, with your vendors, with service, service providers, whoever you're working with. We can look at everything and try to support you and get it right. Next slide. Now, there are 3 parts to ElevateIP. The first part is called IP awareness, tier 1, where entrepreneurs, especially founders who do not understand IP and need a little bit more understanding of what is IP, this is where we begin. Once they're done with awareness, then we move them into what we call an IP strategy phase. This is an important part of developing your IP portfolio. Uh, in this phase, you work with a law firm to do a gap analysis of what is missing, what is there for your IP. They look at everything, including your contracts, including your website, your employee contracts, everything, trademarks, patents, and come back with some suggestions, which we implement in tier 3. Next slide. Now, IP strategy is something that we recommend every startup to do. This is something you can do formally through us, or if you've already gone through any other government program like IP Assist, we can accept that IP strategy too. But it should be a formal strategy done. And we recommend all startups to have one before moving forward. It is very similar to having a business strategy. Just like you do that and you do gap analysis, SWOT analysis in your business strategy, IP strategy is supposed to give you the same type of information of what is there and what is missing. Next. Now, in IP strategy, we cover a lot of things. I've mentioned contracts, but we also look at out licensing, in licensing strategy, patent mining, trademark searches. We even provide advisory and coaching services, and a bunch of other things, even freedom to operate and trade secret strategy. McKercher does a great job with trade secret, and we work with them to implement that. And with Corey, we work with IP strategy in general and patents and other stuff. Thank you. Next slide. Now, when you're done with your strategy and you moved into tier 3, we help you now implement whatever you've done. And there's a lot of things here, including, can you imagine, we are even covering your translation costs. And keep in mind, many of us use open source tools and technologies. Not every open source tool is free to use in a commercial environment. And we even look at that to see if there are any conflicts or any issues related to that. Next slide. And one more question, one more point. We are also doing international patent applications. So if you want to file patents in, say, US and Brazil or US and UK, we are there to support you. Obviously, you need to have a strong business case for that. What we don't cover, now, I've mentioned what we covered, but what we don't cover is as important as what we cover. We don't do retainers. We don't cover the cost for IP, acquiring IP rights, maintenance cost, ongoing licensing fees, or infringement or enforcement related costs to IP or litigation costs. Our goal is to do net new activity and not necessarily work on existing applications. However, having said that, from time to time and case-to-case basis, we do look at existing applications that are already in a patent process, and they need some further support to get the application through. On a case-to-case basis, we review it and make decisions on it. But in general, we only look at net new activity. Next slide, please. Now, the good news is that up to IP strategy, 100% of the cost is covered by the program. So if you're doing a strategy, you don't need to worry about who's going to pay the cost. This was done deliberately to encourage startups to actually not skip on strategy and move straight to patents. Spend some time. It takes 4 to 6 weeks. Get your strategy right before you move to implementation phase. I've had a startup that came to us saying that they want to file a patent. They want to file a patent, but we asked them to go meet a lawyer and think about IP strategy. And after they met the law firm and thought about IP strategy, they came back and said, oh, they want to do a trade secret, not a patent filing. So sometimes strategy can even help you make the right decision of what is right for your company at that particular time of the company's journey. Now, for IP implementation, there's a co-invest model. We can't cover 100% of the costs, but we do cover 70 to 90% of the costs. Next slide. When I talk about 70 to 90%, 90% is meant for women, majority-owned women or indigenous startups. When I say majority-owned, that means 51% or more. It's not about the largest shareholder. It's about you must have 51% ownership of the company. And the money that we provide does not go to the startup. It goes straight to the law firm. And law firm invoices us. We pay them the bill directly. We've got 16 law firms on board, including Furman IP, Corey, and McCutcheon. Both of them are part of our network. Next slide, please. Now, how much money is available? So we've got about $100,000 available per startup, out of which 25,000 are designated for strategy and the rest for filing. On average, an IP strategy is costing us about 12 to 15,000, and anything that goes above that, or 12 to 15,000. So in other words, any money that is left from there can be used for IP filing as well. So the pool of IP filing can be as high as 100,000, but with strategy, if it takes 15,000, can go up to 85,000. Next, please. Now, why is the government giving away money? There's always a catch. And the catch here is that government wants to track your revenue numbers and your employment numbers over the course of next 2 years. So we will be pinging you on a regular basis to find out what's your revenue, what's your employment numbers. They have to go north. That's why this program is here, to create employment and to create stronger startups in Canada. So that's where we are here to support you. Next slide. The other thing that we need from any startup is that they must be a startup, not a research project. That's a requirement. It's meant for businesses. So we'll be asking you for your business number. We'll be asking you for your pitch deck or a business plan or a lean canvas. You must have less than $10 million of revenue, less than 500 employees, and hopefully less than 15 years old. And a very strong go-to-market strategy. So as long as you have these things, you're eligible to apply. But if you are still a researcher and not yet a startup, we ask you to wait and make that decision before you apply, because this grant is specifically designed for startups. Next, please. The process is pretty simple. You submit your application on our portal, followed by a pitch deck. And once you do that, it goes to an independent review committee that analyzes all the submissions. And based on their feedback, we let you into the program. If the feedback is negative, we ask the startup to go back and improve their application and come back in a couple of months and apply again. Next slide. Our goal is to support over 600 startups. Previous one, yeah. Well, 600 startups in the next 2 years. We've already onboarded close to 100 startups as of now. We have 50 plus work orders already out there being executed by various law firms, including McCutcheon and Furman IP from Corey. So basically, there are already startups from Saskatchewan and Manitoba utilizing our services, but our goal is to reach 600. So there's still room for others to come in. And the program was launched in November, so it's just recent, 4 months ago. And in 4 months, we've had 100 startups already. Thank you. Next. So at the end of my slides, I've got some IP education. If you don't understand what is an IP plan or IP strategy, there's some great resources here from SIPO. SIPO is Canadian IP Intellectual Property Organization. So I recommend everybody to go through these. And once you go through them, they're quick 15-minute, 30-minute videos or PowerPoints. If you go through them, you'll be able to learn and get a better understanding of why strategy is important. Next, please. We've also picked up some articles for you to read and some videos to watch. So, and obviously, I'm sure everybody knows about Google Patent Search. If not, check it out before you think about going to a lawyer. Just search for some basic stuff on your own. This is it. This is, oh yeah, one more thing. IP Voices. Now, this is something which I wanted to share. We've added it recently. It is a podcast on IP-related matters run by SIPO. My recommendation is, if you're interested in IP, check out this podcast and listen to. You don't have to listen to every podcast, but you should pick up the topics that you love from your list and choose the one and listen to it. Next, please. Some of our partners all across Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We've got Opus, SIIT, Cultivator, Collabs in Saskatchewan. So 4 of the partners listed here are based out of Saskatchewan, and they're providing us with amazing startups to work with. Thank you. You can always book a meeting, use this QR code to set up a time with me, or email me, and we can have a one-on-one discussion. Thank you, Andrew.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. That was a really good overview of a pretty fantastic program and opportunity for researchers at the university who are interested in spinning out startups for research. This is probably, I don't want to say once in a generation opportunity to get this kind of financial support, but it could be. Could be once in a decade, but this is a unique opportunity for some significant financial support pertaining to IP. And really appreciate your time here, Tief, and that overview. Thank you. In the chat here, we have one person asked if we could reshare the page of the application procedure. I think that you can just message me about that. Our contact information was shared. I'll put it in the box here, chat box here as well, and we can chat and go over that as well, and I can share that with you. Otherwise, we do have a bit of time here. We've got an extra 15 minutes, a nice little 15 minutes here for a Q&A. I imagine we have a couple more questions, so if anyone has anything, feel free to speak up or type it in the chat box. Oh, great. Atia shared a link to the presentation too, which has all that information. I definitely recommend everyone bringing that up, opening that right now and then bookmarking it.
And while we're waiting for any questions, just like to reiterate that if you guys are interested in accessing the program, the first step would be through an IP disclosure, through which you could reach out to Andrew or myself at ORPI, and from there we can connect you with Corey or McKercher, and that would be the sort of route to access ElevateIP, as well as getting any information, of course, directly from Atif and Northforge. We have one question from Jinkai. How long can a startup be supported at Northforge? Atif?
So it's a good question. The program runs till March 2026. We can support startups till March 2026. But my humble suggestion is don't come to us in March of 2026. That's when the program is closing down. So anytime before that is great.
Any other questions or thoughts here, folks?
Looks like there's one more from Jinkai.
So we have Corey here and McKercher, both are our partners. We've also got Collabs and Cultivator, as well as Opus as our partners. I think Cultivator is based out of your university campus, if I'm not wrong. So in reality, we've got our partners there. We don't need to have a branch. You can reach up to Corey, and Corey can guide you, or McKercher or Cultivator. All of them can help you. And even University of Regina, they're here to support you. So if you have any questions, reach out to them and they'll connect us.
Thanks, Atif. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry, my mic didn't was not working.
no worries. And so the program is delivered with funding from ElevateIP, which is federal, administered by North Forge, delivered locally through McKercher, Corey Furman, and ORPI.
If I may, I have another question. I thank you for this presentation. I think there's you shared the application procedure. My question is, I suppose there will be some, business plans and so on to be prepared. Does Northford has kind of a training session or training programs for startups to prepare all these kind of documentation for application? Or whether there are some online resources available for us to explore before the application. Thanks.
That's a very good question. So NorthForge is an incubator. So one of our biggest places, one of the biggest strong points is that we help startups build their business plan, pitch decks, and whatnot. As part of Founders Program, we do that. There, you can also do it through other programs, Opus, Cultivator, Collabs does that. Those are 3 incubators over there. I'm sure University of Regina has Lab to Market or something equivalent where you can pick that skill up. I'll let Andrew answer that from a local perspective.
Yes, I think we're your first direct point of contact for those kind of resources, Jinkai. We can help point you in the right direction, and we also have some access to some of those types of early stage resources that can help you. Another upcoming exciting project that we're working on, and this, I'll mention that timelines, of course, everyone knows at the university can take a while for these sort of updates to be implemented, but ORPI is looking to build out our website, take a bit of time, but once that's done, you're going to find a lot of these kind of resources on our website as well. But in the meantime, just feel free to reach out to us.
Aram posted a question.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm responding to that now. Aram, yes, same kind of similar answer. It is a little too early to discuss changes. I maybe shouldn't have mentioned that, but I'll just mention that there won't be significant changes to ownership or anything like that. So, and I think that any changes, if they are approved, there may not be any changes at all, but if they are, they'll be subtle, and it'll just help bring clarification of ownership and things like that, which will benefit everybody.
We also hope to issue some guidelines to that policy to make it more accessible and to allow people to think about processes like commercialization more readily and simply.
Yeah, and some standardized procedures. Good questions.
Yes, Omar.
From Omar? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I'm sorry I joined late, so I don't know if my question was answered already, but how far in the development of the idea you need to access the resources from ElevateIP? Meaning, for example, how far in the go-to-market plan do you need to be, or you need that to apply, or just the potentially patentable product just to apply for ElevateIP?
That's an extremely good question, Omar. I'm going to give you sort of like a easy and a complex answer. So if you're a life sciences startup or doing or something which is takes a bit longer to build, we can onboard you slightly earlier when you're still ready to patent something. But if you are a software tech company, we'd rather like to see an MVP, at least an MVP ready startup. For hardware startups, we want them before they have the hardware out there in the market. They've just built the hardware. So usually those are early stages that we can accept. But again, it's case to case. We have rejected a few startups that were research-based or they were doing great work, but they didn't show enough potential for going beyond research in the next 2 years or 3 years. This program is there for 2 years. If you can't show commercialization within 2 years, then you're in the wrong place.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's great. So in the life sciences, in antibiotic discovery, so that's kind of the pharmaceuticals generally, like the antibiotics are peculiar, it's a bit of a special case, but in general, pharmaceuticals will take some time to get to the point where they're commercializable. So
from case to case basis, we look at them and we try to guide them. So we have some life sciences already enrolled in our program from Saskatchewan. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
It's a good question and some good detail to consider. Any other questions, folks? Comments? Okay. Well, it looks like we might be, everyone has asked a question. Looks like we are got a few minutes to spare, so we can give you back 6 extra minutes of your time. Usually no one complains when something ends early. So I think this was a pretty interesting webinar, providing a lot of information on some good opportunities. It was also really great to get Corey out here in front of you and to meet him, as well as an overview of the ORPI office for those of you that are less aware or unaware of how we can support. So I'd like to just reiterate again that we're available and that you are welcome to connect with us at any time. And we're here to help. Craig, anything else to add on your end?
Just thank you for coming out. We really appreciate you guys, and we're like Andrew said, here to support. So if you are interested in connecting with these resources, please reach out to myself or Andrew, and we can connect you to Corey and hopefully access those supports from the ElevateIP program. So thank you everyone.
Thanks again, everyone. We appreciate coming out. We'll talk to you.
And thank you, Atif, for participating. We really appreciate it.
Yes, and Corey, thank you as well.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Corey. Take care.
Have a good day, folks.